Hey guys, welcome to week 2. So last week and this week, was a little bit of a hectic week, especially with the weather here. It snowed in Italy, for 2 days, so that was super exciting. We got to go home a little bit early on last Thursday, and we got to go home around 3 o'clock. And then we had a late call, so we didn't have to go in until 9. So that was pretty exciting staff-wise. But last Friday, we took the children bowling. So that was a fun outing. And that was my first outing with them at that age. And being that the class that I'm in, a lot of them have social and or behavioral issues that we're working on, and that services are being provided for those that have been assessed. But we had one young boy. Dad said that he was going to come bowling, and then he didn't show up until the very end. And then during the time, though, the young boy was like running all over. Luckily, the building was closed specifically for us, so that was good. We didn't really rain on in that too much because he got bored with the bowling, and he wasn't doing anything dangerous. He was just wandering and walking around. But Dad showed up late, and when we were getting on the bus, like, he basically had a meltdown. And it was one of those awkward situations of, staff and parent, of like, okay, who's going to jump in and who's going to react. And unfortunately, Dad didn't do anything. And I ended up having to pick up the child, and like, as he is screaming and bawling and crying, kicking, I had to pick him up and, put him on the bus and strap him into his car seat that we all have to have. And it was just one of those things that made me think, like, if parents aren't going to do something in that moment, like when we present that they have a developmental delay, I see why they're not moving forward to get the services that they need or the assessment that they need for the child. So it was kind of an eye-opener of like how much the parents really play, or if they leave everything else up to us. And it's one of those things where it's like, this is where you can step in as a parent. So that was just something interesting that we talked about after we got back into the center. This week though, we had a kid. He suffers from anger issues already, and I know that's kind of silly to say, but he's 4 years old going on 5, and he already has a lot of anger issues. And the anger spasm or spells that I've seen him go through haven't really been that bad. But this week specifically, something happened, and it just triggered him, and his face was bloodshot red. He was holding his fist, and then it snapped into something further, and then he ended up stepping on the child. And luckily, the child was not hurt. Obviously, we contacted both parents and did an incident report and stuff like that, and a behavior report to the one kid. But that was just one of those things that I hadn't seen it that progressed that far. The anger progressed that far. So that was really interesting to see. But we brought him aside, had him apologize to the kid, and then we, try to discuss different ways of how to control our anger. And if we're upset, maybe we should just walk away or tell a teacher or just work on different techniques, but it's really hard when you're 4 years old and a kid takes your toy, of how to react to that, especially if you do have these intense emotions that you don't know how to control. So we're working with him on that. And then we also had a leads meeting. And I don't remember if you guys remember about the breast milk stuff. Well, medical headquarters came down, and now they want the breast milks labeled a certain way and color labeled and things of that nature. So that was something that we were all, wrapping our brains around to try to figure out how to make it work, how to put them on the bottles properly. And it's also one of those things that it makes it harder for, it's going to sound silly, but it's more work for a parent when they're dropping their child off, especially soldiers that have to go to PT, by 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, they're dropping their kid off and they have to do all this extra work. So we were trying to come up with a solution to make that less of a hassle for them in the mornings. But so my question for you guys this week would be about like what to do with the situation about the parent that allowed the child to just basically throw a tantrum and was waiting for staff to step in play, because it really is hard to know that line, especially when the parent's there, because they are allowed to come and participate with the kids, but at what point do we chime in, or what points do the parents chime in? So if you have any suggestions or tips or whatever, I would greatly appreciate it. Thanks, guys.